It's crazy. And also, speaking of podcasts, this is Greg Fitzsimmons. You were very early on the podcast stage.
Yeah, I started 14 years ago, and it was like Chris Hardwick and Marin and Rogan and Jay Moore. Yeah, and so if I had known podcasts would get this big, I would have tried a lot harder. It's like, I just always did it because I love sitting down, as you do. I love sitting down with, people I respect and I think are funny, and nobody's cell phone is on, and you're actually having a somewhat deep conversation for an hour. So I always love that part of it.
Yeah. This is the highlight for me. I love to interview people, and not even just famous people. Like I get long-winded, and when people stop me in the store and they go, "Hey, I listen to this show," and next thing you know, they're like, "It can't get away from me because I'm talking so much." It is the best part of the show. Let me ask you: you worked, you wrote for Ellen, right, for a while, or did you just do that for award shows?
No, I wrote for the first 2 seasons, won 4 Emmys.
Was she a maniac like everybody said, or did you like her?
Well, I signed a non-disclosure agreement, but now there's a debate about the show's off the air. She's fallen from grace, and I'm really wondering if now it's okay to say that she's the worst human being I've ever met.
Really? Well, don't say it so you don't get in trouble.
No, I don't care. I don't care.
No,
I just went to a party in Maine, and I drove up there from Boston. I had 2.5 hours in a car with a woman who spent 5 years writing for the show, who had a nervous breakdown from the show, and Ellen called her at home while she was home taking a sick leave, and she called her, and the first thing she said was, I'm a nice person, right?
As you're sitting home suffering from a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. Oh. I literally almost had a nervous breakdown, and I'm pretty tough, know. But when you go to an office day in and day out, and there is an atmosphere of fear, it just
Spanish. You know what that's like.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Yeah,
I can relate.
So all this stuff that comes out in the media, there's a text chain among the ex-writers that it erupts when things get brought out. It's like 9/11, and you're a firefighter. That's how much your phone is lighting up. And,
that's great though, and there's a community of people who've been there that all hate the same person. I love that. So you get a little chat group going. This is Greg Fitzsimmons. His new special is called "You Know Me." It's available on YouTube. He is one of the funniest comedians. In fact, if you want to see him on our YouTube channel, there's a great clip of him roasting me at my roast, where he talks about my grandmother's butthole, and that is something right to my grandmother's face, by the way. Something my family will never forget, and it was still one of the greatest moments ever. I got so lucky. I mean, you talk about that was when I'm 50, going to be 53. It was 13 years ago, and I made a list of 20 comedians that I wanted for this roast, and I got like 15 of them, and I was so lucky. That was one of the best events we've ever done.
Dude, Bert Kreischer, Jim Norton, was Jim Florentine there?
Jim Florentine, Bobby Kelly,
the head writers for Letterman, the Sangl brothers.
Yeah. Every comedian that I wanted, that I had a relationship with, I asked to came in and did. I like now that if I was more famous, that thing would be a great Netflix special.
Yeah,
I know, it was a sick lineup, and people really did their work. Roasts are not. It's heavy lifting. You gotta go through hundreds of jokes to come up with like the 10 or 15 that you're going to do. But I think that there's a handful of. You got to do a lot of morning radio when you go on the road, and when you come across somebody that not only gets comedy but also appreciates you, and you form a relationship, like that's rare. There's only a couple that I find in the country where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go do morning radio. And so when you called, I just jumped. I was like, of course. I brought the whole family.
Yep.
You got us tickets to go. What's that insane amusement park near you?
Busch Gardens.
Oh, my God, dude. I got on some carny ride that whipped my head around so bad that I spent the rest of the trip in a neck brace.
Yeah. Well, hey, we make memories.
Yeah.
Hey, your dad was tight with the great Don Buchwald?
Oh, my God, dude. That was a rough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buchwald passed away not too long ago. Yeah, I didn't know if your family was still friends with their family or what the deal was.
Didn't he rep you for a while?
Yeah, Tony Burton is my agent from their agency still, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know Tony. Yeah, he was basically when my dad was coming up. My dad was, he'd had some big jobs in New York. He was considered one of the big guys. And then Don was a commercial agent, and he became really good friends with my dad and decided to go into radio representation. And so my dad introduced him to all the station managers. He got him some of his first clients, and they were just best friends for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
And and so I know his daughter used to represent me.
Oh, really?
At the Don Buchwald agency. Yeah. And but he was a guy who had so much class, showed up in Italian suits with the monogram cufflinks and, everything about him, his limo driver. He had the same guy for 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was just class. I just love that guy.
He reminds me of like when I was a kid looking at old school New York, like the old school rich dudes in New York. He was that guy, and he with the hat and everything. I'm glad that I got to know him the few times that I did hang out with him. I got to go in a ride in his limo with him from New York to New Jersey one time, and just listening to him tell stories was great.
Yeah, and he was a big. I belonged to. My father was a friar, so I belonged to the Friars Club, and I moved to New York when I was probably about 26, and I went to the Friars Club every day because they had a billiards room, they had a gym, they had a steam room, and then they would put out tuna fish and egg salad with crackers every day at happy hour and for free. And so I was struggling, and that was my dinner every night. And then Don Buchwald would sit in the Milton Berle room, which was like a bar they had. There was a Joey Lewis room in the Milton Berle room, and he would just sit there, and he would kind of hold court, and people would come up. And, he was a little bit of a Broadway Danny Rose. Like he had some struggling comics, but that had big personalities. And so I got a chance to spend a lot of time with him there. And Elon Gold would always come up, and he would do his Howard Stern impression, and John loved that. Yeah.
I love Elon. We haven't seen Elon in years, but I love him. His impressions were great. Now every idiot on Instagram can do impressions, so it doesn't matter. This is Greg Fitzsimmons. You can find his special on YouTube. The best part about it is that every television is a smart TV now. You can watch YouTube on your TV. You're not huddled around a phone or an iPad. You can watch this just like you would watch it on Netflix or any other special. Just search Greg Fitzsimmons.
And the great thing is you can share it so easy on your phone, too.
Yeah,
you can
watch it and send it to your friend. Yeah. It's called You Know Me. And I promise you'll love it. I'm not going to lie, I haven't watched it, but these guys have.
I've watched it, Greg. It's really good. Really good.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I will check it out this weekend for sure, and I hope it has a big success for you, my man.
Yeah, it's been doing really well. So we got like 250,000 views in the first 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll just keep pushing it.
Good for you. It's great to catch up with you, and hopefully you'll be rolling through Tampa soon.
Yeah, I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you again.
Brother,
so much.
There you go. The great Greg Fitzsimmons. Thanks, pal.
See you, Greg.